Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Seth. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I haven't been uploading in a little bit because I got sick, and you can maybe hear it a little bit. I'm still a little sick and still feel the need to cough, but I feel better enough to make more videos. So we're gonna be talking about new memorias for Heaven Burns Red. Of course, you see the title of the video, but yeah, there's gonna be 4 new memorias coming out this patch. One being Vampire Shadow, the Thunder overwrite that we've been waiting for since the beginning of the game. We're going to talk about her in another video, but this video we're going to talk about 2 different memorias, and yeah, let's get right into it. First, we are talking about Dango Bungo, the Thunder Breaker. Her EX skill costs 15 SP, it does AoE thunder damage, it takes off 3 of the enemy's buffs, and is plus 30% DP effective. On first use, however, it does more damage, and the 30% becomes plus 50% DP effective. She also gets a normal skill that costs 8 SP, it does damage and recovers 10 SP, but if you have bad luck, the enemy will get a 3-turn defense boost. I'm going to be straight honest with you. Dango Bungo is atrocious. She does AoE damage, which already spreads her damage thin, as well as only getting even decent damage and plus 50% DP efficiency on first use, and becomes incredibly weak after. Not to mention her buff Dispel that's only useful in score attacks with infinitely stacking buffs, or the one chapter for Anachrony, but you should only be using breakers in Anachronies for the most part anyway. Plus it costs a whopping 15 SP, which is really high, but she can remedy all of this with her normal skill. It costs 8 SP but recovers 10 SP, so she is essentially getting a free plus 2 SP every turn after you get 8 SP. But if you're unlucky, the enemy gets a 3-turn defense boost, which is one of the worst buffs the enemy could have, since you have to waste 3 turns waiting for it to go away. However, her EX skill dispels buffs, so you can be unlucky up to 3 times and just not be hindered in any way. Which is nice, since being unlucky doesn't really matter anymore, and since the skill can't completely fail, you still get the plus 10 SP. Now you can get SP fast to use her skill, her EX skill I mean, but now you run into another issue. You don't even need to get SP faster on her, since she only does anything on her first cast of her EX skill anyway, meaning you need turns to set up. So by the time she's fully set up, she'll be at 15 SP anyway, so it really doesn't matter how fast you get SP. I'm really debating on putting her into F tier, but that is only reserved for actually useless memorias, so I'll give her a D- tier, since she does actually work okay for the most part in very niche scenarios, and she does okay damage on her first cast. But everything she does contradicts itself, making her extremely bad. The other memoria on this banner, however, is actually really good. It is Mage Miko, the light debuffer. Her EX skill costs 10 SP, lowers light defense, exposes enemy vulnerabilities aka fragile for 2 turns, and gives an extra turn to herself. She also gets a 5 SP small heal. Mage Miko is a very good debuffer for light teams, as she provides 2 debuffs along with an extra turn for only 10 SP. These 2 debuffs both last for 2 turns, which means you aren't forced to double stack them while an extra turn. The extra turn only helps you get more debuffs off in a shorter amount of time, which means less turns being taken. She also gets a couple of defense down debuffs through her other memorias, meaning she can provide herself with 3 main debuffs for light teams standalone. She has 2 things that drops her tier down a tiny bit, and it's that her normal skill is pretty useless, as you want as much SP as you can to debuff, and that she needs a lot of SP to get everything off. She cannot double stack all 3 debuffs at once if she is not in overdrive due to the SP cost. 10 SP for her EX skill, and using it twice will make you already at 20 SP, which is the max without overdrive at default. And even though you wait a turn, since her EX skill lasts for 2 turns, you can only get up to 3 SP the next turn with Limit Break 1, which isn't enough to get an extra defense down off. But most of the time you want to be in overdrive anyway to get the most damage off, so it's not a super big deal. However, her EX skill applies the debuff and doesn't do any sort of damage or hits. This EX skill cannot generate any sort of overdrive, so keep that in mind when you can hit the threshold. Overall, I give Mage Miko a A tier. She is one of the very few light debuffers in the game. She provides meaningful debuffs in a reasonable amount of time. The only downside is that her SP cost is very high if you want to apply a bunch of debuffs, and that her Norma skill, her small heal, is pretty useless because you want all that SP to debuff, so that 5 SP may hinder the amount of turns that it will take for you to get them all off. So there you have it, 2 Memorias, one which is extremely bad, but one that seems to love my account for some odd reason and keeps giving her to me, and the other one who is really good and I want more of, but alas, they don't want to give me any more copies of her for some reason. And yeah. So yeah, very 50-50 on this banner. If you love gambling, this is the banner for you. But yeah, Dango Bungo is trash, Mage Miko is awesome. Do what you will. I highly suggest you save. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one where we talk about Vampire Shadow. And yeah, bye bye.